Go. Hi, welcome to Instagram Basics, presented by Gordon F. Snyder. These break time videos are sponsored by the CCTA, the Centers Collaborative for Technical Assistance, an NSF ATE-funded grant. CCTA's original purpose was to respond to a request from the Department of Labor, DOL, to the NSF to have ATE centers provide technical assistance services to DOL tax grantees. And now that tax grants are over, we are focusing strictly on helping NSF grantees and proposal writers. Our deliverables are to provide technical assistance webinars, workshops, and best practice documents.
Okay, hi Christina, it's Gordon. All right, now let's talk a little bit about creating any social media plan. We had done an earlier sort of general presentation where I pulled this slide from. But before you create any social media plan, you want to go back and research your competition. You want to know what your differentiators are. You want to research the industry. And you want to do a content inventory. And again, these are covered. These four things are very important, and they're all covered in that first presentation we did. So let's talk about Instagram now. As far as step one goes, and I think I've got 11 steps in this process, you want to get an Instagram business account. And the reason you want to do this is because you get access to some additional metrics that you don't get with a personal account. If you already have a personal Instagram account and you've been, let's say, posting brand appropriate content there, and you've got an established following, you can actually convert it to an Instagram business account. That gives you access to all the business features, but it makes the transition seamless for people that currently are your existing followers, let's say. You can also set up a brand new account. I've got the procedures listed here. I'm not going to read them. But this slide here shows how to set up an Instagram business account. And again, a business account is different than a personal account from scratch. Now, if you do have a personal Instagram account, this slide shows lists the procedure to convert that personal Instagram account to a business account. So that's the first step. Set up an account and make sure it's a business account. All right, step two, you want to create a strategy, okay? You want to determine your audience. You want to check the analytics. Look at who follows you on other social media channels. These could be people that follow you personally that may be interested in this. Let's say you have a personal Twitter account, for example. You want to do some thorough competitor research. This is something we talked about in the previous presentation also. And you want to create a clear value statement for your program, your academic program, if that's what this is for. Now, one of the things we're going to talk about, and this is pretty interesting, we'll come to this again in some following slides, but the majority of Instagram users are under the age of 35. And there's a pretty even split. It's pretty much 50-50 between male and female users. So that's something you want to think about if you're going to be posting content. And again, we'll get back to that in a little bit. All right, step three. I think most of us are familiar with this SMART acronym for goals and objectives. You want to set goals that are specific, that are measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. As you're building up your Instagram presence, there's some metrics. Some people refer to them as vanity metrics, like likes, follows, comments, those kinds of things. Sure, those can all be goals. It's okay to have those goals, but you also want to make sure you set goals that relate to your real objectives, your department, your program. If you're a business, your business objectives. Okay. That leads us to step four. And step four is to focus on the right performance metrics. You've got and there's four listed here. There's awareness, okay? This includes metrics like brand or maybe your program, your department, your college awareness, the follower growth rate, post reach. Again, we'll talk about some of these things. Engagement, that includes metrics like the engagement rate, that's based on likes, and the amplification rate, which is a term that's typically used for shares when people share your content. Conversion, in addition to conversion rate, this includes metrics like click-through rate, bounce rate. If you're using paid ads, conversion metrics also include cost per click and CPM. And the customer, these metrics are based on actions customers take, like maybe providing a testimonial. So if you want to consider maybe your current students, your alumni, maybe parents, these would all be considered lumped in with customers. Step 5, you want to commit to a regular posting schedule. And again, this is something we talked about on the previous session we did. Once you start building a following on Instagram, your fans, people that follow you, are likely looking, if you want them to remember you, and think about maybe checking out your program a little deeper, you want to post on a regular basis. You want to keep them aware of what's going on. You want to keep them engaged with your content, but you don't want to overwhelm them to the point, you don't want to bombard them to the point where they tune out or they unfollow you. As far as posting times go, and this is a little screenshot here, Hootsuite and a company called Hootsuite and a metrics company, social media metrics called InMetric, analyzed 200,000 Instagram posts in 11 different industries and determined that the times actually vary greatly depending on your industry. If you're food and beverage, for example, most successful time to post is at noon, is right at noontime, probably because people are going to lunch. We're all in the education industry, and if you look at what they found as far as the education industry goes, 4 p.m. is the best time, which kind of surprised me for the education industry to post. So start thinking about posting later in the afternoon. And you'll also, you can look at your own metrics, and we'll talk about, again, some of those metrics here, and determine when the best time to post is based on the kinds of, based on what you're seeing with your metrics. All right, so step 6 is to optimize your profile. Your bio is really important. It's only 150 characters long in Instagram, but it really needs to tell, especially first-time people, who you are, what your program is all about, why they should care. And there's a lot of information to try to cram into those 150 characters. So you want to, when you're doing these things, you want to, marketers use a term called brand voice. So you want to use your brand voice. And depending on what you are, you want to convey your personality. And so you could be casual, you could be professional. I think most of the content we post is professional. You could be a little bit cheeky if something's going on. Depending on what makes sense for your program and the situation, it's okay to have a little fun, and you can do some neat things in Instagram to do that. You want to include hashtags. Instagram bio hashtags. This is in your bio. Your bio hashtags are clickable, and there's a great way to show off user-generated content. You can experiment with some emojis. You can convey a lot of information in just one character, and you're seeing especially younger people use these quite a bit now. Set up some spacing and some line breaks. You want to make your bio easier to read online. B here, this is, again, kind of a long slide when it comes to narrative, but you want to optimize your profile picture. For most academic programs, it's probably going to be some version of a logo or something like that. It's probably not going to be a headshot of somebody. Logo may or may not be possible for your program. If you do have other social media accounts set up for your program, you want to use the same picture. That's really important so people can identify you in other platforms. In Instagram, the profile photo displays at 110 by 110 pixels, but it's stored as 320 by 320. So you want to upload a photo at least 320 pixels square to be sure you're ready. And there's been rumors going around that Instagram's going to bump this up. They probably are going to change this to 320 by 320. So you want to make sure you have the right profile photo configured. The profile picture gets cropped into a photo on the app. So you want to take a look at that, and you want to make sure your logo is fully visible. C, make sure your profile is complete. So you want to use all the components of your Instagram business account to their full advantage. There's a name and a username. There's a website you can put in. There's contact information, where you can put in your email address, phone number, your school address, category, call to action buttons. So call to action buttons are, maybe you can have a button, book an appointment, make a visit, link to an email, those kinds of things. So when you do this, when you access this information in your business profile, you just click edit profile and contact options, and add an action button. I'm sorry. So these are things you want to make sure your profile is optimized for the work you're doing. All right. So as far as sharing content, really Instagram is all about pictures. It's all pictures primarily. And you use your phone. And when you're taking pictures with your phone or any other camera, you want to try to use natural light. You want to avoid any harsh light. Okay. There's this rule of thirds that basically the phone cameras have a built-in grid. You can turn on a grid, and you want to put your subject where the grid lines meet. And what that does, it creates a photo that's a little off-center, but still balanced. So it gives the photo some perspective. You can shoot from different angles, and if you just watch it, take a look at, if you follow maybe some people that are doing a nice job, you can really, after a while, you can really pick out nice photos. I'm not so sure I can take nice ones, but I certainly see, when I do see a nice photo, a well-shot photo, it does catch my eye. I can tell the difference. So, and once you decide on a content theme, whatever that is, and if it's for your academic program, most likely, you want to go for a consistent visual look. So if you use, you want to be consistent with your colors. If you use any filters, you want to make sure you use the same filter each time, or as much as possible. That way, again, it's another way of branding yourself and branding your program. So as people scroll through their Instagram feed, they can more easily pick your stuff out. So stories, and if you haven't, stories are sort of continued posts in Instagram, and there's more than 400 million people now using Instagram stories every day. And 39% of people say they became more interested in a product or brand after seeing it on stories. This is some Hootsuite research again. They've done some studies. A third of most viewed Instagram stories are posted by businesses. So businesses, academic programs, and with a story, the content disappears after 24 hours. But you can, so content that disappears, let's say after 24 hours, along with live broadcasting features, make this a really neat place to try some different things with attention-grabbing photos and videos. So you can try some things, you can take a look at the metrics, see how they work, and the nice thing is if it doesn't work, it goes away in 24 hours. So let's see. I'm sorry. let's flip back to this slide here again. So as you tell your stories, you want to tell authentic brand stories. There should be a beginning, a middle, and an end. You can get creative with this stuff, and you can maybe get to the point where people are watching your stories consistently. And you can end your stories with a call to action. So whatever that call to action is, you can extend the life of a story too beyond 24 hours with Instagram Stories highlights. So you can again extend beyond 24 hours. I've seen some really neat stuff done with Instagram by some colleges. I know one university in particular does something called an Instagram and a Snapchat takeover, where they'll actually give a student access to an account for 24 hours. And that student sort of becomes almost a day in the life kind of a thing, where the student's posting stories and posting pictures and comments about what they're doing that day. So again, some interesting things you can do. Now, as far as growing and engaging your audience, and this kind of, I guess these particular bullet items apply to just about any social media platform, but social networks are about community, and a community relevant to your program already exists on Instagram somewhere. You just have to find them. And one way to do that is to engage with people, let's say in programs, let's say academic programs they already follow. So you want to take a look at related hashtags and commenting, and you want to comment on appropriate Instagram posts. You want to maybe follow the people who participate in these discussions. So as you get more involved in the communities, you'll get a sense of the hashtags that inspire the most response. So again, this kind of leads us to using the right hashtags. Very important. It makes the content easier to find. The captions on Instagram are not searchable, but the hashtags are. So when someone clicks on or searches for a hashtag, they're going to see all the associated content. So it's a great way to get your content in front of people who don't already follow you. You might want to consider creating your own branded hashtag. I think that's a good idea. A branded hashtag embodies your brand, encourages followers to share photos that fit that image. And it can be a great source of user-generated content and encourage community. So I've got a friend who has started a hiking business, for example. This is not academic related, but he uses a hashtag guide life in everything he posts right now. And he's doing very well with that. I've been teaching at the University of Hartford, at the College of Engineering, Technology, and Architecture. CETA Info, CETA, College of Engineering, Technology, and Architecture Info, INFO, is a hashtag that's put on every social media post that comes out of that part of the school. So those, again, are very important things. I think, and you can use multiple hashtags. You can use more than one hashtag in a post. And you'll see this if you do a little research on some of the things other people are doing. You want to make sure you respond to comments and mentions. We talked about this on the last presentation also. So you can't neglect the social aspect. So you want to respond to comments and mentions on your program on Instagram. This way the users will feel motivated to keep engaging with your program. Don't use bots. There are some automated engagement bots. They don't work, and they tend to turn people off and cause people to unfollow you. You want to respond authentically, so it needs to be done by a person when someone mentions or tags maybe your program, your brand. And you want to promote your account on other channels. If you've got an established following on other social networks, you want to let people know about your Instagram program account. Maybe you've got a big following on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Make sure you tell them what kind of content you'll share on your Insta profile, so they'll know why it's worth the time to follow you. And you can embed Instagram posts directly in, let's say you have a blog or a Facebook post to showcase some of your best content and make it easier for people that maybe follow you there to follow you on Instagram. Step 10, you want to track results with analytic tools. Once you're using Instagram to promote your program, again, you need to take a look at the metrics to see how your work matches up, your progress matches up to what your goals are. So you want to take a look at the results of individual posts, stories, as well as the Instagram business account as a whole. There's a whole bunch of numbers to keep an eye on, and there's other analytic tools you can use with Instagram and that can help you with that. But you can take a look, do some research if you're interested in taking a look at some of the add-on tools. You can do some Google searching, and you'll find the ones you like. But what a lot of people do in social media, they use something called an A/B testing to learn what works and what doesn't. And it's nice, especially with stories on Instagram. You can kind of, because they disappear in 24 hours, if something maybe doesn't work so good, it goes away and people don't see it after 24 hours. But what marketing people will do, they'll use this A/B testing, and what they'll do is they'll test each new strategy to see how it performs. And by doing this, you learn what works best for your specific audience, and you can refine your strategy. So I wanted to just give a brief outline of how an A/B test is done on Instagram. And I don't have this, it's not on the slide. I'm just going to talk through it here. But basically, you choose an element you want to test. Maybe it's a picture, it's a caption, it's a hashtag. Maybe you're teaching a network class, for example, and you've got students working on some different network configurations, working on in front of a piece of equipment, for example. You want to create two variations based on what your research tells you. Maybe you want to use different hashtags. You want to use two different hashtags. You want to keep the two versions the same, except for the one element you want to test. So one post will get one hashtag, another post will get a different hashtag. And what you do is you track and analyze the results of each post and pick the one that wins. Then you can test another small variation to see if you can improve your results further, so you can continue to refine to improve your results. Continue to refine your post to improve your results. And you can build a library of best practices to do this for your brand, and you can start the process over again. And this was done. This school that I mentioned earlier that does this Instagram student takeover, that was the result of an A/B test on Instagram. They decided they would try something. I think it was something student takeover. They hashtagged it anyways, but it took off, and they've continued to refine that now. And it's a pretty effective way to have the students help you out. And this is something we talked about in the last presentation also. You can get students to help you out, and they enjoy doing these kinds of things. Highlighting their program, most of them are pretty proud of the work they're doing and their academic program and the kinds of things they're studying. So that's a great way to that's a great way to market your programs. And again, it was discovered using an A/B kind of a test on Instagram. So back to step 11, or ending with step 11, don't stop. This is where we stopped, or this is the last slide on the last presentation. You're going to hit a lot of what you would think are dead ends. You got to kind of push through some of these things to get to your goal when it comes to social media. It takes time, so you don't want to stop too early. That's it. Thank you. Sorry.